not heavy enough to produce winter weather advisory criteria there, but there is kind of some more near the four corners of winter weather advisories. The severe weather aspect of this system today stretches through the kind of eastern plains up into the Midwest. Big level 1 risk area for just to the south side of Chicago, kind of Fort Wayne, Indiana, back towards St. Louis, Kansas City, Memphis, even through Arkansas and lower Mississippi. This storm system will progress eastward by tomorrow. So tomorrow's severe weather outlook includes the deep south with a chance of severe weather. So that level 1 risk area will stretch from kind of Lexington, Kentucky, all the way back to South Texas. But this level 2 area in yellow is highlighting the areas with more favorable conditions that could come together for severe weather. That level 2 risk area includes Huntsville, Birmingham, back towards Baton Rouge, Louisiana, New Orleans, Jackson, Mississippi as well. I don't think this is a severe weather outbreak setup, but we could see some isolated tornadoes. The tornado aspect for tomorrow, about a 5% chance of tornadoes within that level 2 risk area, damaging winds as well. So we're watching all of that as we move forward in time into the weekend. You can kind of see big picture. As we move into tomorrow morning, we see showers and storms getting into parts of Alabama and Mississippi. We'll go into Friday afternoon, those press into parts of North Georgia, and then this kind of elongated frontal system brings more waves of that rain working up the front. The final push for us in North Georgia comes in on Saturday with the cold front, so that will bring another renewed threat of shower and storm activity. So it's not just one single line of showers and storms. There's a few different opportunities, or two main opportunities, one on Friday and one on Saturday, for us to pick up some measurable rainfall and a chance of thunderstorms. Here's the severe weather index for Friday and Saturday. The outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center centered a little bit closer on North Georgia. So you can see at no point do we see a high-end severe weather threat, but it's January. When you get up into the 70s in January here in Georgia, and you bring your dew points into the mid-60s, and you have a storm system with some upper level energy or winds, you have to watch things closely for it to tap into those stronger wind gusts. For those who are familiar with weather terminology, about a mile up in the atmosphere, we look at low-level jets, and there's a low-level jet that's going to be about 50 to 60 mile per hour low-level jets. That's not incredibly impressive, but it means that we can tap into those stronger winds sometimes, and they can mix down to the surface. So damaging straight-line wind gusts would be our primary severe weather threat. There's not a lot of wind shear outside where the winds change direction with height. We have the stronger winds above the surface, but not a lot of directional shear. So I think the tornado threat is overall pretty low. But let me just break down what we're expecting Friday versus Saturday. You can see Friday, the severe weather threat. This goes through 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, includes a level 1 risk area for Atlanta, points north and points west. And then for Saturday, that risk area is for all of North Georgia, a level 1 marginal threat of severe weather. So we don't feel that this is a setup where we're going to see widespread severe storms, but it's been a while since we've tracked a storm system with a stronger storm potential into North Georgia, and that's why we've issued a weather impact alert. Moderate risk of heavy rainfall, and we're going to see repeated rounds of that heavy rainfall, so that will elevate the threat of at least some nuisance street flooding and maybe some creek and stream levels running high. Strong winds, we put that at moderate. The chance of a tornado is very low. I don't even think hail is in the cards for the weekend, but that's also something that we will be watching. I don't know if we'll have any updrafts that can sustain really long enough for us to see much of a hail component, but we'll be watching all that closely. All right, let's talk about the tornado parameters. So for us to see tornadoes, we need that wind shear, that changing of the wind direction with height and changing of wind speed with height. You need lift in the atmosphere as well. And you need those strong updrafts to come in and take that wind shear and turn it from, let's do a little science experiment here. You see how my pen is rolling sideways? So that's wind shear that we'd be needing, okay? And a strong updraft comes in and it rotates it like this. So then we have the wind shear happening curvy in the vertical. So we need those ingredients to come together. This graphic shows you how many of those ingredients could come together for a tornado. It doesn't tell us, are we going to see tornadoes? Are we not going to see tornadoes? It tells you, what do the ingredients look like? Do I have all of my ingredients to bake a cake? Do I have all of my ingredients for a tornado to form? This is called significant tornado parameter. And what you see here is I paused things Saturday at noon, so you can see there's a little bit of gray on the map, but that is the very low end of the scale. So when we don't see many of those orange colors setting up, the tornado chance is very, very minimal. So I'm not overly impressed with it. But with that being said, when you get temperatures in the 70s and you have dew points in the mid 60s from December through February, we always have to watch those ingredients that could come together for severe weather. So a very, very low end chance that there could be a spin up tornado. I think heavy rain will be the bigger threat, and that heavy rain comes in two main waves. And I'm going to show you a forecast track in a second, but I just want to show you paint a picture of how much rain we're talking about. Between Friday and Friday evening, northwest Georgia could pick up 1 to 2 inches of rain. So that's heavy rain coming in, not in one single hour, but probably over a 6 to 8 to 12 hour window, depending on where you are. So it's not really a flash flooding threat, but when we bring in repeated rounds of heavy rainfall on top of each other, there can be some of that nuisance street flooding and creek flooding. So we will be watching that Friday evening. Then we get to Saturday morning, the main front comes through, and that brings another 1 to 2 inches on top of that in northwest Georgia. Everything's going to weaken the further south and east that they go. So the rainfall amounts north and west could be 1 to 3 inches, with locally some spots getting to 4 inches of rain, but areas south and east of Atlanta may not get a whole lot of rainfall out of the system. That was our in-house graph model. This is the European model, which is a lower resolution model. If you think about having a need for glasses and you take your glasses off versus putting them on, you see two different images, right? Or when you watch, your grandparents' old TV, that's still an SD TV from 1997 versus watching a newer TV that you've picked up from 2025. They're going to look a lot different. So this is one of those kind of lower resolution models, and it also paints a 1 to 2 inch picture there for Friday, but it brings in some of that more steady rainfall Friday afternoon and evening over the metro, and then it brings in Saturday the additional 1 to 2 inches of rain. So it actually paints some of that heavier rain right on top of the I-85 and I-20 corridors here in metro Atlanta. So there are some differences with the model. I would say that at this point, the northwest Georgia corridor has that more favorable setup for the higher rainfall amounts. I'll show you one other couple of other comparisons since we have the time here on 11 Live Plus. This is the American versus the European model. We just looked at the European. Look at the American. 0.3 for Atlanta, 0.4 for Marietta, 1.5 for Canton, 6 in Dalton. So there is that signature in some of these models that there's going to be repeated rounds of heavy rain and that flash flooding threat, whereas other models just give more of a broad brushed 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. So if we were to see some of those rainfall totals getting upwards of 4 inches or 5 inches, then we would be looking at a more substantial flooding threat. So we're watching that closely. I think heavy rain will be the most widespread felt impact from these rain storms coming in. Here's the flood risk outlook for Friday. That northwestern Georgia territory included in a level 2 out of 4 slight risk for flooding. I know we're talking about a lot of level 1s and level 2s. What do all they mean? What I want you to take away from this is that northwest Georgia has a higher chance of street flooding and creek and stream flooding than the Atlanta metro area. So if you're out driving in it, be cautious. You know how to drive in heavy rain. Watch out for hydroplaning, increase your following distance, don't slam on the gas or slam on the brakes or do anything jerky with the steering wheel. Okay, let's put everything in motion. Rain chances increase Friday during the afternoon, and then we will see the last push coming through all of North Georgia on Saturday. I'm going to show you two different models so you get two different images of what might play out in the future. Here's the our in-house graph model first. This shows you clouds increasing today. We start Friday morning dry, but watch the rain coming into northwest Georgia for the afternoon. So it gets into northwest Georgia first. Then this model now tries to drop some of that rain into the metro area by 5, 6 o'clock, but the more persistent ongoing rain stretches from northeast Georgia back to the northwestern suburbs of Atlanta. So that'll be Friday afternoon, and evening. It lifts that axis or territory for heavy rain back into far north Georgia and Tennessee overnight. And then Saturday, here comes the front itself. So this will be where we watch for some of those stronger thunderstorms. This is 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, showing this kind of broken line of storm activity through northwest Georgia. Some of those pockets bringing heavy rainfall. For areas that do not see rain on Friday, your atmosphere is not worked over. So I'd be more concerned about kind of this West Georgia territory rather than up here for a few isolated stronger storms, but watch them really falling apart as we head through Saturday afternoon. So there is a level 1 threat. Most of this rain should be out of here by dinner time. We'll be watching those. Some of the models vary a little bit on that timeline for rain and storm activity to see if the dinner time hour is kind of when things cut off or if some of that bleeds later into the evening. By midnight, Saturday night, heading into Sunday morning, the front is gone. The cold air is going to come spilling in and you'll feel the difference outside in a big way for Sunday. This is a different model. This is the HER model, the high resolution rapid refresh model. And this is also going to show you Friday starts dry, but that rain comes into northwest Georgia first. So here's northwest Georgia by 8 o'clock, some of that rain coming in. It presses into parts of metro Atlanta by noon. And then for the afternoon, it brings that axis of steady ongoing rain actually into metro Atlanta rather than keeping it going in northwest Georgia. So this is a significant difference than the graph model that we just looked at. So this brings that axis of rain into Atlanta for 5:30, and then it lifts it back to the north with pockets of heavy rainfall overnight. So this is a different solution than the other model. What they do both show is that Saturday comes our front. So this is 7 o'clock showing that line of rain and storms through the northwest side of the metro. And then it does not go out any further than this, but it would show them exiting North Georgia by about 2 in the afternoon. So a little bit earlier than the other model that we were looking at. So what to take away from all that is we are going to see weekend storms. We've issued the weather impact alert Friday afternoon through Saturday. The timeline for rain picks up Friday afternoon. A lot of what we get Friday afternoon is more garden variety activity. It's not going to be like a stronger storm threat. However, Saturday morning to early afternoon, if we don't see that rain getting into the metro area on Friday, the atmosphere is not worked over, so it has a little bit more oomph to it, and we can see an isolated stronger wind gust there. So heavy rain will be the more widespread impact, but we could also see some gusty winds out of the system in addition to that. Filtered sunshine outside right now. Oh, step outside today. It feels lovely out there. We do have a lot more cloud cover than we had for portions of yesterday afternoon, but it feels nice. We average 54 this time of year. We're currently sitting at 69 in Atlanta, 70 in Covington, 73 in Eatonton, and 70 degrees in Thomaston. Even up across the North Georgia mountains, there are some 60s showing up. So we'll be around 70 degrees thereabouts today. We're not quite to record heat today. The record today is 73. Tomorrow the record is 72, and we could get there if that axis of rain or that area of rain stays north of Atlanta in the afternoon. If it slides into Atlanta, like our friend the HER was showing, like this, we're not going to make it to 72 degrees. So we'll be watching that tomorrow. We'll be close to it. Let's talk about your weekend forecast. Showers and a few storms likely on Saturday. You're going to be dodging those raindrops if you are out for Saturday plans. Sunday is a lot colder outside. And when I say a lot colder, I mean the temperatures themselves could be 20 degrees colder. It might feel 25 plus degrees colder outside Sunday afternoon than Saturday. So there will be a difference in what it feels like outside. And I'll show you kind of a picture in one of our wind chill models of what it might feel like. Saturday, it's going to feel like it's in the 60s. We'll fast forward this to Sunday morning. Sunday morning, the cold air is just rushing in, so the temperatures will be dropping all Sunday morning. You can see the wind chills in the morning, 33 degrees. Sunday afternoon, wind chills are going to be upper 30s and low 40s. So it's going to be about 25 to 30 degree difference in what it feels like outside Saturday afternoon versus Sunday afternoon. So Sunday does bring the sunshine back. you can spend time outdoors in that respect, but you will need the big jackets, the big coats. And I am expecting some stronger wind gusts as we head through the day on Sunday. We won't be, maybe not to wind advisory criteria, but we won't be that far off of it. I think we'll see some of those wind gusts on Sunday if this will kind of pick up on my model here. We'll probably see some wind gusts 25 to 30 miles an hour as we head through the day on Sunday. And some of those gusts across the North Georgia mountains could be higher than that. So a lot of changes coming in as we move forward in time. For today, though, it's pretty nice outside. We've got temperatures that are up around 70 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. We will keep things dry the rest of today. As we go into tomorrow, the rain will start to creep into Northwest Georgia first, then it'll press into Metro Atlanta at some point in the afternoon and evening. So I know the Peach Bowl was looking dry yesterday. We even had the Peach Bowl CEO in here at 11 Live, and I said, yeah, the models mostly look dry, but we're still 2 days out. Well, 1 day out, it looks a little bit wetter, so we're going to be dodging those raindrops if you are tailgating for Oregon or Indiana. Should be a great game, but the tailgating weather may not be picture perfect out there. I've increased the rain chance Friday to 40%. Saturday, 70% chance of showers and thunderstorms. And then the cold is back and it's here to stay next week. Highs will start off in the 40s Sunday and Monday. Highs will climb into the 50s for the rest of the week. But those morning lows, they're going to be dropping down 20s and 30s there. So we will be watching that cold air surging back and likely sticking around for all of next week.